ladies and gentlemen, let me hope you are having a fantastic evening. And once again, welcome to your program, Uganda Alive. As always, your presenter, Nancy K. Muga. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who turned up to the official launch of Alive Production Group at the prestigious Western Stadium Hotel. In today's program, I'm going to take you in the community to meet up with a very inspiring lady who is going to talk us her journey through the times she was affected with leukemia, in layman's language, cancer of the blood. Sit down and relax, don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and as promised earlier, we are going to meet up with a very inspiring lady who battled through leukemia, and at the moment as we speak, she is back home with her family. Diana is very much pleased to join Uganda Alive to talk us through her journey, how it all started and where she is at the moment. Come with me. Hello Diana, it's Nancy from Uganda Alive.
Hello Uganda Alive, come in.
Oh, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Uganda Alive has finally caught up with Ms. Diana Kaganda, who is going to tell us her story and journey. Hello Diana, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Uganda Alive.
Thank you.
I've briefed my viewers about what you've got to tell them, your journey and so on. Now, would you kindly tell us how it all started? How did you find out that you actually had the leukemia condition?
Yeah. First of all, it's a long story. It started in 2007. I was in my last year of exams, well, my second year of exams, finishing my finals, and I started having swelling feet and having a large stomach, but I was losing weight, but my stomach was getting bigger, and people even started asking me, is she pregnant, is she not? And you know, I could see like what people were thinking, even me. I was thinking, you know, if I saw someone with a big stomach, it wasn't even just big fat, it was just out there.
Did you take a pregnancy test?
No, because I knew I wasn't pregnant.
Okay.
So when I had the big stomach, my swelling feet, I was sweating at night, I knew I had to go to the GP. So I went to the GP, I showed her all the symptoms, and she checked my stomach, said my feet were just water retention when it's hot, and she didn't really take it seriously. So I left it a week and nothing was getting better. I was actually getting to a point where I was getting embarrassed to go to uni because I couldn't just, it was summer and I couldn't wear the little top because, you know, my tummy, I couldn't explain it. So
when you say your GP didn't take it serious, was the checkup done in a rush, or because at times the GP only gives you about 5 minutes, they rush through you and then you have to go?
Yeah. So. Well, actually, my GP, I've had her, she's a family GP and we've had her for many, many years. And so she always gives me time, but even her, she didn't really, leukemia was the last thing on her mind, I think, to be honest. And I guess for her, she probably didn't maybe even want to put that idea in her head, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, so she kind of just said, you know, just go away and see how it is, and your tummy is fine, just watch your diet, watch what you're eating, blah, blah, blah. And so I said to myself, you know, I need to take myself to the hospital and get a blood test. So I went to the hospital. They insisted that I go for my GP, but I was like, no, I need to, I'm so worried. And somehow I got a blood test, and it was a Friday actually. Next day, Saturday, it was Friday night, I was doing my revision. It was an overnight revision. Next day I got back home about 12 midday, went straight to bed. I hear a knock on my door, just me and my sister at home. I opened the door and it's the police.
Oh dear.
I'm like, what has my brother done now? Because I knew it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But they said, we're looking for Diana Kaganda. I was like, that's me. And they were like, did you take a test yesterday at the hospital? I said, I did. And they said, we need to take you to the hospital right away. I said, okay, give me 2 minutes. They were like, you need to come right away. I just had to leave the house and get in the car. And I was like, Julie, that's my sister. I was like, I'm going to the hospital, I'll call you. Got into the car, they took me down to the hospital, did some more tests, and then the doctor said, we need to wait for your parents. Will you call your parents to come and join you? And they said, why, what's wrong? And they were like, just call your parents first. So I called them, they rushed down, and of course with that phone call came a lot of questions. Why do we need to come to the hospital? What's wrong?
Of course.
I was like, Mommy, please just come. I don't know. The doctor's just telling me to come. Just come.
You are not out.
I
How
know.
old were you then?
I was 21. So I knew, you know. So I thought, okay, just come so I can hear what's going on. Because for me, I was even excited. I was like, oh, what's wrong? Because cancer was the last thing on my mind. So my parents came and they told us, you know, unfortunately, we found a very high number of white blood counts in your system, and when you've got cancer, you have a large number of white cells, but they're not the white cells that fight infection. They're the white cells that are cancerous. So they eventually start growing into your bloodstream, and they take over the good cells. So they found, for me, a normal person usually has about around 5, but 5 times like 10,000 something. But for me, I had 500. So I had like 500 times 10,000. So I had a lot. Yeah. So immediately they told us we had leukemia. My parents we didn't act shocked. We were just like, okay, what's leukemia? And the doctor straight away picked up on that, and she said, you've got a blood cancer, some sort of blood cancer. And then we had cancer. We were like, oh my gosh. In my head, I thought, I'm gonna die. And
straight away.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm gonna die. But then for some reason, because my parents didn't panic, and my dad, he's very good at making you think he knows what he's talking about. So he was like, I know this, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And I was like, if my dad said I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be fine.
I know his dad is right.
Yeah, dad is right. Dad knows everything. So I went to hospital. I spent a week in hospital. And where they were cleansing my blood, they would take out my blood and cleanse it, take away the cancerous cells.
Did they admit you straight away?
They admitted me straight away on that day. I went straight in there, straight to the... They didn't even have that initial conversation about what leukemia was and what my future is going to be, because they just had to get on with doing that, because they actually caught it at a very good stage. So they did that treatment for a week, and then I went back for a follow-up. When I went back for a follow-up, that's when I had the talk with the doctor, and he then informed me that they caught it early, but it's at a stage where eventually, one day, some years coming forward, it would advance to leukemia, where I would have to have a bone marrow transplant. But at the moment, because of the new drug they came out with, Gleevec, they come up with it very recent, like in the 2000s, and I was very fortunate to be diagnosed when that tablet was out. That tablet I just took once a day, and that kept me living a normal life, to be honest. I didn't feel any side effects from that. And yeah, that's how it was up to 5 years. I took that tablet once a day, and I was fine. I just went out for regular checkups every 3 months, and every time everything was good. I just had a few moments where I was like tired, but then I would take my iron tablets for the anemia.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's still your program Uganda Alive, and I'm still with Miss Diana Kaganda. Please don't go. What a way of finding out. Police coming, taking yourself to the general practitioner who said everything was okay. Going to the hospital for a blood test, and then the police, after about 12 hours, picking you up from your house. You
I
must
know,
have been thinking,
very dramatic.
what have I done? And then so they put you on this one tablet a day.
Yeah. After the initial 2 weeks in hospital, yeah. I was taking that tablet for a day up to my first pregnancy, because my first child is going to be 2 in September. So as soon as I got pregnant with the first child, I had to come off that tablet because it wasn't safe for her.
Talking about first child, that means you're in a relationship. How hard was it for you to break it to your partner that you had a type of cancer, blood cancer?
That's actually something. After the first year of having leukemia, I never really thought about how it's going to affect my future, because I think my brain was too concentrated on finishing uni. As soon as I graduated, I realised, okay, now I'm an adult, I need to go out and get a job. I need to, I want to eventually have a family. And even getting a job, how would I explain to them that every 3 months I need to go and get a checkup? And I didn't want everyone at my workplace knowing my business. So those are the things I had to start thinking about. But when it comes to relationships, we sat down and I made it clear from the beginning, because I would hate for someone to be with someone for so many years and then they tell me such a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to be like that. And we had a friendship before, a very strong friendship, and I made it clear what I had and how it might affect me in the future. And thank God he was understanding. And if you're meant to be with someone, then no obstacle is going to come in the way. And I guess that was one big obstacle that I always thought would come in the way of things, but it didn't in my situation because he understood. I explained to him everything, and I was honest. And yeah, it didn't. I just had to, you just have to be honest. And to be honest, it doesn't affect. It didn't affect our relationship in any way because I could still go ahead and have kids, and I didn't have checkups so often. I didn't have to take any medications that would affect me in any way. I was living a normal life up to the point where it transformed.
Wow, that's quite refreshing, you know. So you're on this tablet for 5 years, you say?
I guess it's been 5 years up to the transformation of the leukemia, and I would have been on that tablet for 5 years, but like I said, I've had 2 pregnancies during those 5 years. So from 2010, when I got pregnant with my first child, I was off that tablet during the pregnancies, but in between you'd go back on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did the effectiveness of this tablet stop? When did your cancer, like?
In July, I was due to give birth to my second child, Nyla, in August 2012, and in July I found a lump in my neck, and straight away I didn't even wait, because you know sometimes you find lumps and you're like you ignore it. But because I've always got that thing at the back of my mind, I've always got cancer at the back of my mind. Anything that I find in my body, I go and check it out straight away. So I went straight to not the GP. I was getting treated at UCH Hospital in Warren Street. So I went to my doctors there, and I showed them. They told me probably nothing to worry about. Just give it and we can see how it is. And I said no, please just do a test just to see. Just tell me for a fact that this is not cancerous. And they were like, okay, fine, we'll do a test. So they did a biopsy. They took a sample of the lump, and the results came back as that it was cancerous because I didn't even find another lump under my armpit. But for me, in general, I felt well. I didn't feel sick. Even my pregnancies have been amazing. I didn't get sick. I just flew through them. I just had my tummy, but that's the only thing that was showing that I was pregnant. So when it advanced, I had no other symptoms apart from that lump. And then so after that, they said they would let me carry on with the pregnancy up to my due date, and I gave birth a week earlier. But they didn't have to induce me or anything. I continued to have birth naturally, and then I gave birth on Monday. Wednesday they started all the testings. I was just literally, I gave birth and they just took me. I did a PET scan, a CT scan, all the scans, all the blood tests, everything. And Thursday I was told to go home, but I was told to come back on Friday to talk about my treatment, the next step. I went there honestly thinking they were just going to give me an advanced tablet, maybe 2 tablets a day.
Instead of 1.
Instead of 1. So I went there, it was summer, I put on my nice dress, I was there happy, sat down with them. There was like 10 of them. They were like doctors, nurses, all the specialists. And I'm just like, what's the big drama? So I sat down and they told me everything, and they said, unfortunately, we thought we could put you on a more advanced tablet, but you're going to have a bone marrow transplant. Your leukemia is actually advanced so far that there is no other option. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? They were like, you need to then start having chemotherapy.
Gosh, did you?
When I had chemotherapy, I was like, no, I was by myself.
Oh dear.
When I had chemotherapy, I was like, chemotherapy. When you hear chemotherapy, you think losing your hair, right? That's the only thing, because I love my hair. So I thought, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, because I like to put on a brave face until I have my privacy and then I break down. So I was like, okay, that's fine, yeah, that's fine. But you need to have radiation. For the next, it's going to take up to 10 months, and by the end of the 10 months, you will know whether it's worked or not. Because there were cases where you have the bone marrow transplant and it doesn't work, or develop some kind of infection that ends up killing you. It's a really, they actually told me that I was one of the 2 people in the year to have that treatment. They can't take on more than 2 people with that type of treatment because it's really, really intense. And so they made that clear. They said it's going to be so intense. You need to be ready for it. But still, you still think, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. They told me about all the possible side effects, how it's going to affect my ability to have kids. They said after having chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant, I won't be able to have any more kids. But I thank God that I have my 2 kids and they have each other. So at that time, I couldn't allow myself to think about the negative part. For example, the thing of maybe dying. There was a possibility of that. But I just had to keep thinking of the cure, because once you have a bone marrow transplant and it's successful, you're cured from cancer. It's gone.
Yes.
So I had to keep my mind on that. Straight away after that, I didn't want to call my parents because I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want to call my partner. I didn't want to scare him. So then I called a friend who lived in Camden. She lived nearby. I said, you need to come and see me. And I was still strong up to that point. She came and I just broke down. And she said, you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine. And I was like, wiped my tears. I went home. Then I called all my family. I called my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my partner. We had a family meeting, and I said, of course I'm going to tell you. And I don't want any sympathy. I don't want any tears. I told my mom, you better not cry because I know you. You're going to make me cry. So I said to my mom, you better not cry because this is serious, and I need you guys to be strong so I can be strong. And he said, what is it? What is it? So I said, okay, first of all, my leukemia is advanced. Second of all, I'm having chemotherapy. Today's Friday. Monday, I'm going to be in hospital for 8 weeks. I'm not to come out. So we need to see what we're going to do with Ada and Nyla, because I'm not going to be here to look after them. And also, there's a chance that the bone marrow transplant will not work and I might die. But I have no other option. I had to just tell them black and white because there was no beating around the bush. That's the fact. So thank God that was 6-week holidays, and my sister was available to look after my daughters, both of them.
How old was the little one then?
The little one she was born in that week. She was a week old, like even 6 days old actually. So for the 8 weeks I didn't even see her because she was still so vulnerable to infection. She couldn't come to the hospital. So yeah, that was another heartbreaking thing. So Saturday and Sunday I just packed. I just wrote down a list of what I need to do. My mind was just on my kids. As long as my kids were looked after, me, the doctors would look after me, to be honest. So I went into hospital and I was in there for 8 weeks having chemotherapy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still with Miss Dana Kaganda right here at Uganda Alive. She is talking us through her journey, her story with leukemia. Don't go away. It's still your program, Uganda Alive, and as you can see, we are still with very inspiring Dana Kaganda, talking us through her journey. So now you have chemotherapy for 8 weeks, and how effective was it?
Well, they did say after that first 8 weeks of chemotherapy, I was in remission, which they don't like to use the word cured because it hasn't completely gone, but they use the word remission, saying that all the tests they've done, they can't see any cancerous cells. So I was completely free of cancer. Yes, that's what I thought, but there was still more to come because my bone marrow is still, it was as good as damaged, to be honest, because if I was in remission, eventually it would probably start producing cancerous cells again. So I had to get it completely removed and get a donor to donate me their bone marrow. But you can't just give me your bone marrow because we need to be a match. So they go out into the community, your brothers and your sisters, the African Caribbean community, because I can't get a bone marrow from a white person. I'd have to get it from a African or Caribbean person. And so they went into the community and found a match. And luckily that match was 100%, 10 out of 10 they say.
How easy was it to find a match?
It wasn't easy. They had to do a lot of tests on different people, until they found the match for me. And once they found the match, because you can't just go and start asking people, will you go and see if you're the, they look, if people are registered, they look onto that registry and they try and find the match from those people that registered to be bone marrow donors. And so 21st of December, I had my bone marrow transplant, and from August up to November, I was having chemotherapy. I had like a 2-week break, went into hospital, had a week of. They told me that this week of chemotherapy I had just before the transplant was equivalent to the 2 months of chemo. So it was really, really harsh, and it was really going to knock me down. So I had that 2 week of chemotherapy, had my transplant 21st of December, and it was successful.
Just hold it there for a viewer who wouldn't know. When you say a transplant, bone marrow transplant, quickly talk us through that process in layman's language.
I honestly thought it was. I told everyone to bring their cameras. I thought it was going to be this big event. It wasn't. It's just like receiving blood, to be honest. They put a needle here, put a cannula in your arm. They gave me like 2 bags of what looked like blood, but it was bone marrow, and put it into my system. And I said to them, so what's going to happen now? And they said it's actually very clever. Our body is very clever that once they put that bone marrow in you, it finds its way to where the central where the bone marrow is produced, and that's when it starts, growing and producing the good cells, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, platelets. So yeah, it was a very uneventful event, and it took 2 hours, and I was there on my phone having my coffee, but it was also very magical because there's moments where I felt like I was having a new life. It was like something was entering me. I just had moments of like, God, you felt like a cold shiver coming through your body, and I was like, this is it. Cancer's gone. Like, this is my new life. This is my cure. I never have to worry about dying. I never have to worry about
leaving your kids.
Yeah, leaving my kids. Oh, so that was a magical moment. And I just have to quickly explain, because some people don't understand what leukemia is. Leukemia is a blood cancer, and in blood we've got 3 components. We've got the red cells, we've got the white cells, we've got the platelets. The platelets deal with blood clotting. So if you don't have enough platelets in terms of someone who's got leukemia, then if you cut yourself, if you bleed, if you're in an accident, you will just continuously bleed, and your blood is unable to clot, which is very dangerous. If you don't have enough red blood cells, which sends oxygen around your body, you feel very tired. So you find that you're anemic, and just taking a simple walk, you feel like you've run a marathon. Then the white cells, they deal with infection. So if you don't have enough white blood cells, then you can't fight infection. Someone coughs on you, sneezes on you, it won't take you a week to get over it. It will take you probably months. That could even knock you for months and months, and even take you into hospital.
No immunity.
No immunity. So for me, that was the biggest scare. That's why I had to have a bone marrow transplant, because my body was unable to fight infection anymore. And anytime it could even, the cancerous cells can spread to your major organs like your heart, your kidney, and your lungs, and they can end up failing. So that's why you have to have a transplant to have a completely new system. And because the bone marrow I have now doesn't have cancer in it, it's producing good blood. So that's all gone, and I don't have to worry about that anymore.
It has settled in well,
Yeah.
and you're not in hospital anymore, because at one time we heard that you had gone in a coma.
Exactly. So I had the transplant. We were happy we was gone. 2 days into, I remember my birthday was 27th of December, and by that time I think it was just before I went into a coma, and I'd lost my hair then, and I remember having balloons in my butt, in the hospital. I was thinking, I can't believe I'm spending hospital, like my birthday in hospital. But it was also a special birthday because it was the first year after 5 years I was free of cancer, completely free. I was like a new person. But then I fell into a coma. I went to sleep in December. I woke up in February. I don't remember what happened between December and February. I was gone. I had moments of waking up and having hallucinations, crazy stuff that I'll talk about next time. But I went into a coma for 2 weeks, but I don't remember 2 months of my life. I woke up and I thought, what? We're in 2013 February? Where did January go? Where did the beginning of February go?
My birthday is supposed to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
2 days. What happened?
Yeah. And then they said, no, we're in February 2013. I was like, how old are my kids? And I had to, every day I was writing down how old my kids are, because I felt like they were maybe 5. I felt like I missed the whole of my life, So my legs were paralyzed, my hands were paralyzed. I had to start learning to walk again. I lost so much weight. I'm skinny now, but I was even skinnier, believe it or not, and I've still got more to go. But I was completely, it was a crazy situation that we'll talk about next time. But yeah, I was in a coma for 2 weeks and learned how to walk. Eventually, I was a fighter. I just fought through it, and I said I have to go and see my kids. They were the forefront of my mind. I said I can't have them not have a mother. I can't have that. I need to be at home with them. I'm the best person to look after them.
Yeah.
So I just had that back in my mind. I just kept fighting. I just kept fighting. I just kept praying and fighting, and eventually I came out of hospital. And now I'm at home with my kids. I go in for checkups once in a while, but everything's really, really good now.
Wow.
I'm clear of everything. I'm clear of cancer.
Wow. What an inspiring story to somebody out there who is going through the same situation, just like Diana. At least we know that there's people out there who can donate their bone marrows to save life. Would you kindly give a word to a viewer out there who like
just if you're interested, please be interested, because this is giving blood and donating your bone marrow. It's saving lives, and it's a simple process. Don't have any myths about it, but do go to www.aclt.org, or you can even talk to Nancy, or she can contact me, and we can always talk via that. But honestly, just go and find out first how to give blood, bone marrow, and just get on that register and save someone's life. You never know, one day you're going to get a chance to save someone's life. Someone saved my life, and if it wasn't for them donating their bone marrow, I wouldn't be here.
Diana is such a fighter, and right now, or what she just said, is that she's appealing to the audience, to the Uganda Alive audience out there, to please get your names registered on the bone marrow register, so that you can donate your bone marrow to somebody in need. It might be you who actually needs it, or somebody else that you know. It's been very nice to have you here, Diana. Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in today. Let me hope Miss Diana Kaganda's story has actually inspired and encouraged somebody out there. There is actually treatment, and there is hope if we get ourselves registered on the bone marrow donation register. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday. Stay tuned on Sky 182 Ben Television.